Crispin, The Cross of Lead by Avi. Chapter 40. I'm so excited. Hearing my name called so terrified me, I stopped and turned around. The man had drawn closer, but as I could not see his face, I shrank away. Only once the voice called out again, even angrier, "Crispin, you stunted son of a scoundrel!" Did I realize it was Bear. Heart exploding with relief, I ran toward him and flung myself at my knees, embracing him with fervor. "Where, by the sins of Lucifer, have you been?" the huge man said, setting his lantern on the ground, prying me loose. Then putting his great hands on both my shoulders, he made me stand before him. At the same time, he went to his knees so I could look into his eyes. "Bear," I said, unable to say more because I had put my arms about him and pressed into his neck and beard like an infant sparrow returning to the nest. "Crispin," he scolded me, "I waited all afternoon for you to return. Did you forget me so soon? Is this the way you repay my kindness? I should give you a sound whipping." "I didn't mean to. I lost my way, and I was attacked." "Attacked?" he said, prying me loose from his neck so he could look into my face. "By whom?" "The steward's men." "What steward?" "From Stromford, John Aycliffe. He's come after me." I went on in a rush. "I saw him in the great church, but he saw me too. The moment he did, he set men upon me. And Bear, I remembered something else. He's Lady Furnival's kin. I even saw her. You said Great Wexley was Furnival's principal home. That Stromford was one of his holdings. Now the Lord Furnival is dead. Lady Furnival must have summoned Aycliffe." I feared that might happen. "Why didn't you tell me?" I wanted to avoid it all. "My wrist is numb where they struck me." "Then you'll have to walk on your feet," he said, grinning. With that, he turned about and began to wend his way through back streets and dark alleys, his lantern barely showing the way through the dark rain. "When I tried to defend myself," I said after he had gone for a while, "I lost your dagger." "I'm sure you used it well." "Bear," I said as we went along. "What?" "God bless you." "And you also," he returned gruffly. Only when I was secure behind the doors of Widow Daventry's inn did I draw a fully relaxed bath. I looked about. The main room was deserted. "Bear, you need to tell me what I should do if—" The widow came into the room. As she did, Bear put up his hand to silence me. "Ah," the woman said, "you found him." "He was wandering and became lost," Bear said, not mentioning the attack. Did the watch see you?" she asked me. "I don't think so." "Good." She drew herself up. "I'm afraid John Ball has just arrived." "Where is he?" Bear said. "In the kitchen. He demanded to be fed." "Fine. I'll get the boy to the room. Can you fetch him something to eat? And some dry clothes?" "I'll get some," the woman said, and left the room. Giving me no explanation as to what his exchange with Widow Daventry had been about, Bear and I returned to our room. Once there, he set the lantern on the table, then bade me lie down on the pallet. When I did, Bear sat down by my side, but instead of speaking, became lost in his thoughts. Even so, I felt comforted. Widow Daventry opened the door and stuck her head inside. "He's getting anxious," she said. He always was the impatient man," Bear muttered. "I'm coming." The woman left. Bear stood and stepped toward the door. "Now eat your bread and go to sleep." Will you truly forgive me? I said. There's nothing to forgive. Sometimes I forget. Forget what? How little you know. With no further words, he went away. Left alone, I hardly knew what to think. But after what had just happened to me, and how he had come after me, I had no heart to question him. Chapter 41. I sat on the straw and ate the bread. Afterward, wanting to give thanks for my safe return, I took Goodwife Peregrine's pouch from my neck and removed my mother's cross of lead. With it in my hands, I began to say my prayers in a low voice. As usual, I prayed for the well-being of my mother's and my father's souls. This time I added Bear's name to those for whom I begged protection. Prayers done, I lay back on the pallet and thought of all I'd seen and done that day. It was hard to grasp. Then I listened to the rain as it continued to beat down, hoping it would lull me to sleep. My mind kept returning to this man, this John Ball, whom Bear was meeting, wondering if he was part of my puzzle and why Bear was hiding him from me. Unable to resist, I got up and crept out the door, then out to the dim hall. Oh, not again. Come on, boy. Sorry, that was my commentary. When I reached the steps, I moved down silently, holding on to the wall for balance. Halfway, I paused and looked into the dimly lit room. Bear was sitting at a table, his back to me. Standing by his side was Widow Daventry. Seated opposite was a man who I assumed was John Ball. Compared to Bear, this man was quite small, though his face, what I could make of it, was strong, with a large nose, deep-set eyes, and a severe mouth. His brown robes and tonsured hair showed him to be a priest. That in itself surprised me, because Bear had told me he had little faith in priests. And the city apprentice, I heard Bear say. What of them? Of like minds, said John Ball, as angry as any other. The constant wars of France, the taxes and harsh fees, these things grind them down, as well as any man, peasant or not. They need better wages and end to the guilds. All that may be true, Bear said, but from what I've seen and heard in my travels, they won't rise up now. They will if they can reclaim their freedom from ancient freedoms, said Ball. And with the righteous hand of God, he lifted his fist. It is my destiny to lead them. Then you had better to wait till King Edward dies, Bear said. How long will that be? Soon? Soon, said Bear. Can you be certain? It's all the talk of London, Bear said, as well as the court of Westminster. And who will succeed the throne? Said John Ball. It could be his son, the Duke of Lancaster. The most hated man in England. That would help us. But the true heir, Bear went on, is the king's grandson, Richard of Bordeaux. The child? Said John Ball. Better yet, that would bring even greater weakness. Why do you think this is the proper time for an uprising in these parts? I heard Bear ask. Oh, no. Why do you think why do you think this is the proper time for an uprising in these parts? I heard Bear ask. Lord Furnival is dead, said John Ball. Lord Furnival is dead, said John Ball. There is already much confusion. Lord Furnival, Lady Furnival, that is, has summoned all the authorities from his manors. With no known heirs, she's vulnerable. Now, listen to me, John Ball, Bear said. It's not for me to tell you how to act. But if we are to talk of Furnival's heirs, in my travels, I've discovered something of great importance. I think it's Crispin. Sorry, had to say that. He spoke so low with his words. His words became indistinct. But I had heard enough. I drew back up the stairs. That Bear was engaged in rebellion of some sort, I could not doubt it. In Stromford, mere talk of such things was considered a hanging offense. What would happen if Bear were caught? It seemed, moreover, that he was not just a juggler, but some kind of spy. As I lay on the pallet, I tossed and turned until I finally decided it was air I needed. Oh my God. What is wrong with this boy?